How to use an affair to deepen your energy work? What? Hello, I'm Frank Future, and welcome to the Vanguard of Light, where we help spiritual people take it to the next quantum next level. And we're talking about an affair. And if you're gonna turn off the video before you get to the end, I'm not talking about cheating on your mate. Okay, so an affair, yes, mostly thought cheating on your mate. Yeah, not a good way. Definitely not saying to do that because you're in a relationship that possibly has some type of dysfunction, hence you want to get something else, but yet you're carrying that relationship to the next relationship. They all on a spiritual level know what's going on, have some level of agreement. So then you have somebody that's already okay with you cheating on them, leaving them, but you're going to be doing that. Then if you actually left that person, then it's like now you got this new dynamic of like, oh, wait a second. They were on board because you had the other person, because there was some, it's just all types of mess. So not saying that, not saying have an affair on your mate to deepen your spiritual work, but the concept of having an affair, like when you have an affair, you don't go to your mate and say, hey, check it out. I'm mentioning this other person. I'm going to be hanging out with him or her. You know, you're cool with it, right? No big deal. La, 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 la. Yeah, that's why everybody, or not everybody, that's why whoever's having an affair most likely hides it. That's why they call it an affair. But how does that deepen your energy work, your spiritual work? What am I talking about? I'm talking about approaching that. Like, you're wanting to make a massive change up a lot of stuff in your life, and you gotta approach that like as if it's an affair, in the sense of like you're not necessarily gonna broadcast that to everybody, especially yourself. There's different parts of yourself that you can't just bust out and be like, yo, check it out, I'm gonna be cheating on you. You cool with it? Because they're not gonna be cool with it. But that's kind of what we do. We want to make a radical change in our life, and we think that all the different parts of us that have created the life we currently have and are stable in the life we currently have are going to just be all on board with us making a radical change. And that's kind of how we approach it. We're like, I'm going to change my finances, I'm going to change my relationship, I'm going to change my body, I'm just going to go do it, and think, yay, everybody's going to be on board. You know, all the parts of us, facets of us inside are just going to be on board with the announcement of like, hey, we're making this great change, cool, let's do it. When they're not. You know, it's kind of like as if you were having an affair and you just announced it to the person you're having an affair on. That's not necessarily going to go well. And it's not about being deceptive, but it's about having that energy of like, okay, here's this new change I want to do. This is someplace, and like just get clear of like, am I really in alignment with this? You know, you don't want to change because you just got another limitation you're trying to suppress. It's like, okay, am I really in alignment with this? You know, this is a change I really want. And then holding that change sacred, but also protected. And realizing you're not necessarily going to open it up to all your limitations. And be like, okay, so I'm working on. I'm going to keep it a little protected. And then kind of like introducing it kind of to yourself of like, hey, look, we're making this change. You know, like, how can I bring you along with that? Or how am I going to let you go with that? But thinking of like, hey, here's this sacred change I want to do. Plop it in front of a whole bunch of limitations and be like, yay, everybody can get along. Cool. I'm going to go off and do whatever. And wondering why. You know, your change, your desire, you know, is ransacked, so to speak. To where it's like you did want it, but now you don't want it, but you're all in a tiz, and all this resistance is showing up, and it's like, I thought it was a good, it's not. That comes from kind of not keeping that sacred, keeping that dream, that desire protected, and then introducing it in that sense of like, hey, look, this is something super important. You know, I've got to figure out how it's going to interact with the other parts, with the other aspects of me, you know, my limitations that I've like bought into for so many years, and kind of do that introduction, do that kind of protective, like kind of like, okay, this is what I'm thinking, what's going to be up, as opposed to just kind of thinking like, well, I want to make this change, and then like looking away, and then in your unconscious, it's like, yeah, let's rewrite that change. We ain't gonna have that. Boom, 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 boom. Kind of like it's getting, you know, like it gets thrown into the mix of a lot of people that aren't happy with it. That's just a concept, but just to give the idea of like, oh wait, this is a sacred change I want, and keep it protected, and keep checking back like, okay, this is something I really want. How am I going to introduce it to myself, to my old me, and be like, okay, old me, guess what? This is the new me, and this is where we're going, and you know, I want you to be on board. I'm going to encourage you to be on board. I might even push you to be on board. But to think that you're just going to show up with this new me and think it's going to get blanketly accepted, it's it's just not going to happen. It kind of runs into a lot of conflicts. That's how you take it deeper and really be like, okay, this is something sacred change. And it's not even just with yourself, it's also with the people in your life, the environment of your life. You know, you don't just roll up on people and be like, hey, check out, it's a completely new me, and you just need to accept me, and this and this and this, and boom, and it's your issue if you don't. You know, you don't want them to do that to you, and it's not doing that to them. And it's also not keeping that dream alive, that new change alive and sacred, because it's just going to get waylaid when it's brought that way, as opposed to, okay, this is something protected. This is what I'm bringing forth. I'm introducing it to myself. I'm introducing it to some key people, but also being like, hey, look, this is really important. I'm going towards this. You need to support it. If you're not, then, you know, you can't be a part of this part. I'm kind of explaining it that way, not only to yourself, but to others. So that's kind of like, that's kind of how you would, and I say that with the whole affair thing, that's kind of how you would do an affair. You're not going to just bust out with an affair and be like, let everybody know, hey, check it out, everybody. I'm having this affair. I'm a partner. Yeah. What up? Everybody's going to be cool with it. Yeah. You don't do that because you know they ain't going to be cool with it. But that's like when you make a big change in your life. Your old you is not going to be cool with it. And realizing they're like, oh, that old me isn't going to be cool with it. And getting them. It's not like they couldn't be. But it's like, okay, I'm not going to surprise it on the old me. I'm going to protect this from my old me. Because my old me's going to be like, oh, you ain't killing me. I'm going to kill that. That's newer. We got a lot of history. I'm going to kill that. That's the simplest plan. You got two different things you want. I'm going to kill that dream. Pooh. Problem solved. But you don't want that. I mean, you want your new dream. So it's just a little bit of a mind change. To be able to go deeper and be like, no, this is something sacred. I got to protect it. Got to protect it from me. Not because the parts of you are just evil and want it gone, but there are influences. There are evil influences that do want it gone. And realizing that some of those parts may be infected by that evil. And just, they're not necessarily running by their own volition. And there is that evil influence. We talked about that with that voice of, there is a malevolent presence with that. So just realizing that, like, oh no, this is a sacred part that I want to make this change. And I can also use that to bring out that dark force. Because it could be a part of you that's just like, you know, freaked out. It's a little bit of a change. But you ease them into it. Of like, hey, this is what the change is going to be. This is what's going to be good for all of us. We're going to like this. And then the parts will come over and be like, okay. But the malevolent part will not. It's going to fight it tooth and nail and tell you how horrible it is. But that helps you realize where it is. Because it's a great change for you. It's positive in your life. But there's a part of you or a voice or an influence that's like, that's terrible. We hate it. That's where you're like, oh, I hear where you're coming from. I can keep an eye on that. Because I mean, if you even do like, you think about, I've done this test before of like, your number one goal that you haven't gotten to, and right after this video stops, I want you to work 15 minutes on it. You'll probably have a whole bunch of things coming up, which will mainly be that voice, like, reason why you can't do it. But if I said, okay, right after this video, I want you to kick back, watch some junk TV, eat a whole bunch of junk food for 2 hours, that same voice that said, don't work on your dreams, will be quiet. That voice, you might have a different voice that's saying like, dude, no, I'm not doing that. But that voice that told you it's not good to work on your dreams, it'll be quiet. It'll probably be like, yeah, let's do it. We deserve a break. So, and just knowing that those forces, that's there, that your dream, that big change you want to make, that place you want to go deep is just sacred. And keep it safe while you're introducing it to the old you. And bringing that old you forward and being like, okay, this is where we're going. And, you know, we're going to baby step it in the beginning of like, okay, let's start working together. Let's build that team. So then all of a sudden, there isn't all that pushback. So hopefully I gave you an idea with the whole like kind of the fair thing, because in a fair you're not going to be broadcasting it to the world, but yet our innermost dreams we either broadcast to ourselves or to people that maybe not supporting, not because they couldn't support. Some of them just can't support and it's just not a good idea to do, but it could just because it's too much of a change, too much of a surprise, and it's more about the introduction. So hopefully that helps. Also I'll have a link below about really going deep about how to kind of leverage your unconscious mind to do energy work, but it does it at a very, very deep level. So you kind of need to get yourself prepared for that and kind of think, okay, what are my big goals and how am I going to keep them sacred? Because you don't want to do deep, deep work on your big goals and then throw them to the wolves, so to speak, and then wonder why, wow, that caused a lot of pain, caused a lot of difficulty. But keeping it all sacred, then you can go deep and really waking up that magic that's inside you, because it's inside you. It just needs to be released. And until we talk again, have a blessed day or a blessed night.